Hey guys, Evan Rourke here, back from another video, and today we're going to be doing a review on the Bandai Megalon 6-inch figure. Now, keep in mind, this is one of the figures that if you joined my live stream, I said was a figure I was going to review, because many of you might have thought, well, after you reviewed the Godzilla 16 Mezco, you didn't have any other figures reviewed, and that is wrong. Basically, I got this figure at a kaiju pop-up store just a few weeks ago when they were playing Mothra, the 1962 film, at a local theater near me. Because of this reason, I then got this figure because, well, it was at the pop-up store and you don't really get the option to get it in person many times. So yeah, we're going to be reviewing this. After this though, I am being serious when I say I have no other figures to review. Again, random things could change, like I didn't expect to get this while I was reviewing the Mezco figures. But anyways, let's begin. So the first thing I like about this figure is the detail. The detail on this figure is really quite good for many reasons. I also want to mention that this is the 6-inch reissue of the Megalon figure. Was released last year. The actual 8-inch or 7-inch Bandai Megalon I already have in my collection. So this is a second Megalon figure I have. I even have a miniature one, so I guess this is a third Megalon figure I have. But this is not the original Bandai Megalon. That was made many years ago, I believe back in the 90s. It's a vintage figure. This is a reissue from 2021. But anyways, long story short, as I was saying, when it comes to detail with this figure, it is the best part about this figure because of, well, detail we see all over. We can see that detail with these linear things right on his wings. I think that's a really cool feature. I also like these linear lines that kind of remind me a little bit like scales, but they're not really scales. They have really nice detail on the drill here. Very good. Also really good detail with the facial detail. I think it's very reminiscent to the Megalon figure itself. And while I've seen figures that have better facial detail than this is still pretty good. So again, detail on this figure is really quite good. I also like how the eyes here have like little dots on their own. That's of course reminiscent to his design of being a beetle-like kaiju. So let's get to the next thing I got about this figure. The next thing I like about this figure is the articulation. Now, I always say that when it comes to a Bandai figure should have at least 4 joints of articulation. I would argue that this is pretty good because it has 5 joints of articulation, more than 4, so it's slightly above average. The joints that move are the head, which goes 360, both arms, and legs. So let's get into the cons of this figure. So if you'll notice, I did not mention paint job as a pro for this figure, and that's because it is a con. Yes, a con when it comes to this figure. I say that because the paint job on this, while it is somewhat accurate, is not entirely accurate in comparison to the other Megalon figure I have, the vintage one, which I'll be showing in a bit. The reason why this isn't quite good in terms of the paint job is because, well, number one, I will give it credit. We do have some pretty booming colors, like with the golden eye here and some little golden yellow scattered across the design. We simply don't have enough accuracy to the original design, even if there are booming colors on this. Not to mention the shading on this is really not good. The only area of shading that they did really well on was the shading from black to silver, of course, for his horns, but that was really it. Other than that, there's zero shading, no color accuracy, and I guess booming colors is the only good thing about the paint job, but it's not enough to make it a pro, but rather a con. So let me show a size comparison when it comes to this figure. So as we can see, here's the 2021 reissue, the figure we've been reviewing, and this is the Bandai, I'd like to say 8-inch Megalon figure. That is a vintage figure and was released, as it says on here, I believe back in 1990. So again, there is a height difference. I'm not too big on that. I guess this is kind of more the advantage because from what I can remember, besides the horn, Megalon was pretty much Godzilla's height, so maybe that's a little bit of an issue with this figure. But other than that, I hope you can tell the difference in color here in comparison. So we can see this beautiful golden brown that has really nice shading while it's not even present on this design. That's really strange to me because not only is it something that I think, because again, I understand how all figures have differences in the way they design, the paint and all that, but this isn't even accurate. I mean, this is supposed to be golden brown, just like here, but it doesn't have that at all. This also has little bits of shading, maybe not enough shading, but at least a little bit of shading between the silver and the gray, while this has literally no shading and it's just a color to a color. And of course, on top of it, you have this figure being the original one having lots of booming colors. So that's why in general, the paint job on this figure is good in comparison to this being bad, because not only is it not accurate, but the shading is off and there's only a few booming colors scattered throughout the figure. All in all, I'd rate this figure an 8.6 out of 10. I do believe the vintage Megalon figure is better. I do think the only advantage it has is that it's more size accurate, but besides that, the vintage Megalon figure is better in my opinion, guys. I probably did rate that lower than this because back then my reviews were kind of all messy back when I reviewed it in like 2017. But again, this is definitely something I still would recommend. An 8.6 out of 10 is still a very good rate. And I do think it's one of the better reissue figures that Bandai has come out with. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys later, and bye-bye.